It was an ordinary morning, the kind that blended into every other day without demanding attention. The city woke up slowly, traffic humming like a tired heartbeat, people rushing with their minds already crowded by responsibilities. Among them was Sarah, a 29-year-old woman who believed her life was painfully average. She lived alone in a small apartment, worked a desk job she tolerated more than loved, and spent most evenings wondering when life would finally feel meaningful. She was not unhappy, but she wasn't fulfilled either, just existing between deadlines and sleep. That morning, Sarah stood at a coffee shop near her office, waiting in line while scrolling through her phone. The smell of fresh coffee filled the air, but her thoughts were elsewhere. She barely noticed the woman in front of her, older, slightly hunched, nervously counting coins in her hand. When it was the woman's turn to pay, her hands trembled. She whispered an apology to the cashier and explained she was short by a small amount. The line behind her shifted impatiently. Someone sighed loudly. Sarah felt a strange pull in her chest. Before she could overthink it, she stepped forward and said, "I've got it." She paid the difference, smiled briefly at the woman, and returned to her phone as if nothing had happened. The older woman looked at her with wide, grateful eyes and whispered, "Thank you. You don't know how much this helps." Sarah nodded politely and walked away with her coffee, already forgetting the moment as she blended back into the crowd. To her, it was insignificant. A few coins, a reflex of kindness, nothing more. But to the woman, it was everything. The woman's name was Margaret. She was 67, recently widowed, living on a pension that barely covered rent and medication. That morning, she had skipped breakfast to save money, telling herself she'd be fine. Sarah's kindness did more than buy her coffee. It reminded her that she was still visible, still worthy of care. That warmth stayed with her the entire day, softening a loneliness she had carried for years. Later that afternoon, Margaret boarded a bus to go home. As she searched for a seat, she noticed a teenage boy standing near the back, shoulders slumped, eyes heavy with something deeper than fatigue. He looked lost. When an elderly man struggled to stand, Margaret did something she hadn't done in years. She stood up and offered her seat. The boy watched silently. When Margaret smiled at him, something shifted inside him too. That boy's name was Leo. He was 16 and had been carrying anger like armor since his father walked out years earlier. School felt pointless, home felt tense, and the world felt unfair. Seeing Margaret give up her seat, despite clearly needing it herself, confused him. It didn't fit the story he told himself, that everyone was selfish, that kindness was weakness. He looked away, but the image stayed. That evening, Leo returned to his small apartment where his mother worked late shifts. His younger sister sat at the table struggling with homework, tears forming in her eyes. Normally, Leo would retreat to his room, headphones on, avoiding responsibility. But that night, he paused. He sat beside her, helped her with math, and for the first time in a long while, she smiled at him with pure relief. Across the city, Sarah ended her workday exhausted. Her boss had criticized her presentation, and doubt crept in like it always did. On her way home, she noticed a homeless man sitting near the subway entrance, holding a cardboard sign that read, "Just hungry." Normally, she would look away, convincing herself she was too tired, too busy. But something lingered from the morning, a softness, a sense of connection she couldn't explain. She bought an extra sandwich and handed it to him without a word. He looked up, startled, then smiled, a smile full of gratitude and disbelief. "I hope something good happens to you today," he said. Sarah walked away, heart pounding, unsure why that sentence stayed with her. That homeless man, James, shared the sandwich with another man nearby who hadn't eaten in days. That night, James chose not to numb his hunger with alcohol like he usually did. Instead, he slept early, clearer than usual. The next morning, he accepted help from a local shelter worker he had ignored countless times before. None of these people knew each other. None of them knew Sarah. And Sarah had no idea that her small act had already started to echo beyond her sight. Days passed. Margaret began volunteering once a week at a community center, serving tea and listening to stories. Leo started staying out of trouble, slowly repairing his relationship with his sister. James entered a rehabilitation program. And Sarah began noticing the world differently. She smiled more. She listened. She felt less invisible. One morning, weeks later, Sarah found herself back in the same coffee shop. This time, the line felt different. She noticed people, a young mother struggling with a stroller, a stressed cashier trying to keep up. When it was her turn, she said something simple, "Take your time. You're doing great." The cashier blinked, surprised. That sentence would stay with her all day. Sarah still didn't know it, but the ripple was growing. And this was only the beginning.